There we go.
Okay. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock and I will call this meeting to order. Public notice having been duly given and a quorum being present, the meeting is duly constituted. First order of business is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion? Second? Discussion?
We have two additions under resolutions. So resolution 9B will be resolution to endorse the I Love Lions Bay photo competition. Resolution 9C will be resolution to waive special event parking passes.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Public participation. Megan, I understand you're the designated participant.
I'm Jurgen today, yes.
Welcome, Jurgen.
Diving right into delegations now?
Yeah, do you want to stand at the podium?
Is there no public participation? She's delegation.
Oh, you're delegation, I beg your pardon. You
Yeah.
have to wait.
Yeah. Oh,
I jumped the gun. Sorry, beg your pardon. Public participation, do we have a list there?
Nobody here? Is there anybody who wants to meet? Mr. Jordan?
Yeah.
Please do.
First of all, this is the first time that I'm participating in your meeting, and my name is Kambiz Azordegan. I'm living in 105 Guadeloupe. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to see you. I would like to address a few issues, and it's not enough just we address the issue. We have to come up with a solution in this regard. Unfortunately, as in my point of view, summer is coming because there's going to be disaster. We need a bylaw officer. I know that the bylaw officer costs a lot. What we have to do that we have a bylaw officer and also just taking care of the expenses. I believe that the firefighters, maybe they can do it willingly, and just any ticket that they issue or any other bylaw officer, they have to get a commission out of that ticket, which is, in my point of view, 50-50. If I'm a bylaw officer, I get the 50% of that ticket. In this regard, the bylaw officer is going to be very encouraged to do the job very well done. Otherwise, we are not going to have a peace and tranquility, especially on that parking lot that maybe a few of you doesn't know about that, how much is a disaster in summer. We had the drug dealers, they come over there with the cars, and after 10 p.m. they're passing by the drugs, and I was very shocked that maybe Lions may become as a East Hastings, that we don't want it. In this regard, after 10 p.m., which is the park is closed, I would like to ask you that, as well as we had before, the contract with the, tow companies, the neighbors, such as me, we have a possibility to, if you let us to have that possibility, to call the tow company after 10 p.m., which is the park is closed, and they tow their cars. In this regard, they are not going to stay there anymore. This is the most important issue for us that we have, for my wife, for my daughter, for any other neighbors over there, that we don't want to big noises, we don't want to just, they park over there illegally and just full of the, all the roads. I do appreciate your consideration, and I believe that it must be done anyhow. And the tow company is one of the big issues for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Asgordian. So, what's the current situation with parking, public non-resident parking? Is there any?
No,
Yes, there
there's
is
parking
5.
at the beach. There's how many? 5 parking
5,
spots?
yes.
No, I mean it's time-wise.
Time was it?
Oh,
Sorry. It says that they can park over there 3 hours, but they come over there around 8 o'clock in the morning, and they leave around 11 p.m.
I guess the
Because
question is,
nobody's going to control
So
it.
there's no enforcement while there's
Yeah.
no bylaw.
does the law cover? Does the bylaw cover what you need? And the issue is enforcement, or
Yes.
does the law need changing?
We need just one bylaw officer and just encourage them, not expenses on, on Lions Bay with the week, the budget that we have. And there is 5 parking lot and no one listening to anyone. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, this is something that we're going to have to look into. We've been talking about the need for extra bylaw enforcement. We currently have it for 8 weeks in the summer,
It's not 8, it's May to beginning of October.
May to October.
Yeah,
1, how many hours a day?
15 hours a week.
15 hours a week.
Oh, that's not going to work, my dear.
Yeah, so we'll need to be. Council will take that on advisement. We probably need to get something done about that. What's the legality of commission for a bylaw officer?
We can't under the municipal ticket enforcement program. That and the more tickets you write, there is a drain in here for all the disputes. Somebody has to adjudicate those.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm the only person who does that, so we'd have to probably train somebody to pick up some of that, because probably 3/4 of the tickets we write get appealed. So it's
Yeah.
a substantial administrative drain.
So a commission is not feasible?
No, it's not, and we have to train our, we would have to put so for instance, if we used fire staff to do bylaw enforcement, we have to send them on the courses at the JIBC, and those run around $3,500 a pop,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a simple matter, but
We can look at it though, there must be ways to strategize.
yeah, we'll also look at best practice in other communities, see how they do it.
Through the mayor, for parking that's past 10 o'clock, which is tow trucks' domain should they come.
Yes.
If they don't come, can a resident phone?
Oh yeah, we have the pay less signs kind of all throughout the village,
Okay.
and that was the point of putting them up last year.
Okay.
I don't know how fast they will come,
So company,
but yeah,
they are
there's,
coming in 3 minutes.
perfect. Yeah, the signs are up, we put them all up
Okay.
last year, the pay less signs, so,
But we didn't have contract with the two company last year.
yes, we did.
No, but nobody
I signed the
came.
contract last
Yeah,
May.
but what happened?
Yeah.
Dismissed because nobody came.
We didn't call until we needed to. I think we did
Because
2
no
tows
one,
last
No one
year.
was there to call.
Right.
Now give us
But
the authority
residents
to call
certainly
them.
can. You can certainly call them if you feel a
Yeah.
need. Yes, of course you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
But residents, yeah, I mean, as long
Yeah.
now they're aware of our bylaw, obviously.
The Payless?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. We signed a service agreement with them last May.
Okay, well, that is one thing that you can do on your own recognizance is call, and if it's within our bylaw, they will do the necessary.
As long as you do have a contract with,
We do.
with them,
Yeah.
and you let us know that we can call them, we will.
Anybody's free, any member of the public is free to call them. The other thing we could potentially talk to is sharing extra bylaw officers with other communities, specifically West Van.
I can certainly look into it. I don't know if their union agreements will allow that. We'll have to look at that.
Or ours, for that matter. Okay, leave it with us.
Since we're in the early part of April, May's about here, and the weather's obviously improving, Mayor Burr, did you have a time that we might, given that we're going to have a little logistical issue?
Yeah.
I mean, the financial model is easy, I mean, to figure that out, but it's about getting bodies here.
We
Yeah.
have one. We have a bylaw officer willing to come back from last year, the one we laid off.
Would he expand his hours, do you think?
Yes, he would. He asked for a full-time job.
Okay, so like.
Oh, so we have, okay, so we have a body,
Maybe
a trained body.
this
We do.
seems like a Monday chat then. Are you fine with that, Mayor Burr?
Yeah, yeah, so I mean, it's not, it's a cost issue, not a coverage issue. Okay, thanks, leave it with us. Thanks. Any other public participation? Oh, you got out, did you?
Embarrassing.
How's the fence?
That's the barbed wire.
Anybody else? Going, gone. Okay.
Sorry, I have to say something. Thank you that you have Mandy.
Oh,
You know,
Thank
she's
you.
very, very helpful and nice and responding fast.
thank you.
We know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, you're the delegation and you're delegated for the delegee.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good evening.
Good evening. I believe you have 10 minutes, is that correct?
Yes.
Do,
Yes.
I understand. My name is Megan Dury. I'm an officer with the Alliance of High School Association, and I sort of look over the before and after school care program that we started in January of this year.
And I'm Diane Phillips, and I'm a co-chair of the Lions Bay Play School Association at the moment. Yeah.
And so towards the end of December, we submitted our application for the community grant. On January 15th, our chair, Jürgen Frank, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening, had an email from Harry saying he tried to call yesterday, and it asked for some clarification regarding the financials that we submitted. And we did submit some fairly extensive financials outlining all of the program income, whether it be from the Canadian Child Care Operating Fund, tuition. We included the salaries, our staff. It was a 3-page comprehensive budget that we are currently running the program based upon. So it was a good document. It outlined all of these shortfalls. The specific shortfall was at the end of the year of $2,395. Jürgen got back to Hari within 24 hours saying he was traveling at the time, saying that he would, and that was on January 16th, that he would touch base with Hari next week. Upon his return, Hari questioned, because we asked for $2,395 for the shortfall in the budget, and then we asked for another $7,600 to help us sustain the program as we head into next year, because School District 45, we were going to be facing some rents from them. Now the program is very close to being viable, and will be viable moving forward. But if we lose our kids in our school, the before and after school cares program is so important to our school, because if we don't have it, we will lose kids to other schools outside the village. Anyway, so Jürgen got back to Hari and said, fine, even if you don't give us the $7,600, the $2,395 is still a shortfall in the actual budget. Jürgen asked Hari if he needed any other information, and Jürgen's never heard from Hari or the new CFO or anyone from the village to this day. I only know that we didn't get the grant from other people that attended the council meeting that
Or
night.
that we may not have. We actually don't know.
We don't know.
We're just
Council or
speculating.
staff, nobody has actually even communicated to us that we have not received the community grant. And so
Or
we'd
that
like
we
to-
have, which
or that
maybe
we
we
have.
have.
The budget hasn't been adopted yet, that's why.
Right.
Anyway,
And, yeah, so I think the idea too was that, yeah, that the $2,395 was to cover this, what we know about in this budget. And just to give the background on the $7,600, some of you may be aware of a separate process that we've embarked on to try to expand the childcare facilities available in the village. And Megan's done a great job of kind of picking up the before and after school care program and making that run when North Shore Neighborhood House left, and did an amazing job of saving the day on that. And then we put in this grant application to the provincial government for $500,000, which may or may not, we'll be finding out about that. But part of that number was derived from the idea that if we get this budget and we're able to proceed with this, it would be nice to have some contribution to the village for that kind of expansion of the project. So I think that's why perhaps it lacks some of the details, because it's been such a work in progress, and that's why we said to be released later. Anyways, Jürgen retracted that and said we could even have the amount, the 23 that applies to this current budget.
the shortfall that we're facing this year.
That would be great.
And he tried to open dialogue with Hari and never heard back again. And so in Hari's initial email, he said that he wanted to have a conversation about it, but really didn't give us the opportunity for a conversation.
And then I think Jürgen contacted, we're trying to deal with this in his absence, but I believe he contacted the village again and then was told that he had to ask council or council to find out where things stood. So I think that's just kind of where we're at now, is just trying to follow up and find out where things in fact do stand.
Yep, okay. Thank you. So I can give you the headline thinking. The request was not approved by council on the following grounds. We have a budget for community grants of $24,000. So this would have represented a major slice. That $24,000 is spread between a high of $7,200 for the Lions Bay Arts Council, all the way down to $150 for smaller groups. It includes things like the library, Arts Council. I already said
I
that.
guess when Arts Council is getting $10,000 and $11,000 a year, and the Play School Association is getting $0, Like, it would be nice if it was dispersed, because this is a play school association that's been in our community for 42 years. The village was incorporated in 1971, the play school in 1973. It's always been viable. It's never actually applied for the community grant because we haven't needed it, but we expanded our programming this year from the play school program to incorporate and run a before and after school program that ultimately keeps the children that grow up in our community, and to not have support even in the smallest token amount from our council and from the village staff is really disheartening, because it was very clearly demonstrated that there was a need for the $23.95, and we thought by saying, okay, we'll step back and we won't ask for the full $7,600. We will make a compromise by asking for that $23.95, but for that still to be, I mean, not even acknowledged. To this day, it hasn't been acknowledged.
So I'll
Or
just
have the calls from Hari returned or anything like that.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I know there's been staff changeover, but
well, yeah. So it's obviously we have limited budget, and so the Arts Council has a membership of 350 residents. The play school has an entirely different demographic,
Equally
different
important.
membership. This council is more than aware of the strategic need
yes.
for all three legs of the stool for the I think you call it a schooling program. So it's the early years, before and after school care, and play school. We're well aware of that. We face hard choices every day. You should have seen the stuff that was cut from the budget.
It just feels that zero, which is sounding like what we're confronting, and I understand, even if there had been some initiative on the part of council to say,
Or staff.
we can't give you even the full 2,400, but you know what, we can give you 1,000, we can give you 1,500, and it's not just the play school, it's not just the kids that are in play school currently, it's the kids who are in before and after school care, go all the way up to grade 7, there are kids who take the bus back from Glen Eagles and attend the before and after school care program here, and it goes beyond, and we've made this case before, it goes beyond even those kids, because people aren't buying into this community to some extent as young families if they can't get childcare. So we need to make sure that we can provide that. It affects real estate values, it goes way beyond. So there's the immediate users of this, there's the people who are coming down the line, and there are those people who are considering maybe buying here and moving here with their families, who might think twice about that if there's no local childcare. So
I think we're all well aware of that.
That when you say that Arts Council has a membership of 300, and I'm not going to speak against Arts Council by any means, but I'm just saying there's actually quite a large user group here. So somewhere between 7,000 that they got and the 2,500 that we asked, and the zero that it seems like we're confronting.
Yeah, I think that I want to be sure that we're not comparing apples to oranges. That this is community grant. Do you recall the imperative for the community grant? You sent it to me this afternoon.
I did. I didn't bring it with me.
There's a specific import of what community grant is for. This is a non-profit society that overspent its budget.
We are a not-profit society that overspent its budget? No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, we very strategically approached offering a new program, the before and after school care program. You sat in on those meetings when we talked about this, when North Shore Neighborhood House pulled out because of the sheer size of their association. It was not feasible for them to operate the program. We are operating a viable, feasible program. Our plan is to continue the program next year. By next year, we will be viable, but our only shortfall is for this year's
startup counts, and it had to do with buying furniture from North Shore Neighborhood House that they had bought and would be taking away with them in order to keep the program running. So this was very much we're in the beginning stages of this, and we need a little help to get this program off and running so that we can make it viable.
So can I just understand? The $23.95 is a one-time, only time.
Yes.
What's the $7,600 then?
It's because we are facing, at the time, you have to understand, Carl, at the time we wrote this application was the end of December. And so we didn't launch the program until January. Already, our program is operating at a very high capacity. We're full on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we're doing very well. So we are confident going into next year that we actually will run a very, very financially viable and financially responsible program.
If you don't get this money
we are willing to open our books and share our books, right?
And there are, you have to understand also again that at the time that this grant was written, we are trying to expand to offer more services to more kids, including an early years daycare, which a lot of us volunteered a lot of time, completely for free, thousands of dollars of professional fees, just of time volunteered to put together a very extensive, comprehensive application, which we may or may not get and we may or may not obtain, but we are doing everything in our power to move forward to build this. And all of these people who are volunteering their time have not got young children who are going to benefit from it. They're all people whose kids are older and have moved past that point, but we're doing it because we think it's actually a service that the community needs to offer. So,
And as parents, we face those. I mean, I was
You know,
forced to
and
stop
we
working
wanna-
because of childcare challenges.
and we
Sure.
want to live in a vibrant community that continues to attract young families.
If you
So-
don't get the 23.95 from the Village of Lions Bay, what happens?
We would be faced with probably doubling tuition next year in order to make up for that loss, because we would have to borrow it. So,
Okay, so
from another program.
that's your 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's not the end of the discussion. We'll now discuss it. Anything else you want to add just for the moment?
No, just that, I mean, having childcare in Lions Bay, whether it be early years, play school, before and after school, it really serves the objective of the community as a whole. I mean, if we don't want to become a bedroom community, we don't want to lose our kids. We've seen our school drop in enrollment by 20 and 30% over the last 3 years, because Mrs. D's closed up top on Mountain. And then Lisa closed her facility, so we just don't have facilities, and we are losing our children. And I want to grow up, and I want my children to grow up in Lions Bay. Like, this is what I love about this community, and I want all the kids here to have that opportunity.
And
Okay.
we want other people to come here with their young kids and continue that, so that we've got, you know.
Yeah, as I started at the very outset, I certainly, and I think most council views it as strategic. Ron?
Thank you. Megan and Diane, Mayor Burr's taken a hit for the team here. This was a unanimous decision in terms of you're not getting the grant. So he's representing us here at this point. Certainly, again, on behalf of all of us, it seems like the communication didn't go so well, and certainly, as you say, there's some transition between our administrative staff and I guess council's working at a part where our budget is discussed in the open, and it's also as part of the finance committee too. That said, I guess we're back to the $2,400-ish, more or less. I think a key determinant in this was, and don't rise up in one voice, it's you're running a business, and we're supporting the business by cutting the check.
It's not a business, it's a not-for-profit association, there's a big difference. That serves your village, it's our village, it's childcare. How is Arts Council's not,
Well,
they're a not-for-profit
I think that
entity as well.
well, in my view,
They have coffers, they
other businesses could actually
have wine
have-
parties that the
Other
village is
businesses,
funding.
other businesses could ask for operating accommodation too.
We're a not-for-profit association,
That's a
not a
piece
corporate
of it.
entity. We're a registered not-for-profit society in BC, and we have been since 1973.
And maybe just another thing to just add to the record, regardless of this, it's just that we did have a rather substantial meeting about this, where there was a lot of talk about the village trying to find ways to support it, and it just feels like we haven't seen any evidence of that, whether it's financial or otherwise, to date. And the question that would remain would be, how is the village willing and able to support childcare in the village, or is that just completely, is that something that you're just philosophically going to say is not a part of your mandate? And just would like that question to maybe stand as
Well, I think that has been answered certainly by me. I remember sitting in that same meeting saying there will not be budget coming from the village. We've cut some far more important strategic projects that were
So is that the main meeting in Chambers you're referring to, or the meeting that was in the hall?
a second meeting that I called around this table.
Yeah, that was not to do with the community grant. It was to do with the application for the provincial grant.
Yeah, but at the time I said there will not be extra budget forthcoming from the village.
Yeah,
The
on
only
that project,
the
yeah.
only assistance we will be able to offer to the society is in-kind help, staff time,
That
support.
was a totally different conversation, Carl. It was about, we were talking about the application for the provincial early years grant, right?
Okay, well
So-
the answer remains the same. There is no budget.
And so
There
can I
is
just
no
ask, just to your question, you said that council voted unanimously to oppose it, is that Was that what I
Yes.
understood that you said?
The
You
budget
said
was-
Carl was taking one for the team? Is that-
Well,
I just didn't understand what the point you
Mayor
were
Burr
making
is
by
the-
that.
You're having
Yeah,
a
sorry.
dialogue largely with Mayor Burr, and he's
Okay.
representing all of us.
Okay, so I didn't know what you meant by
But you should know
that.
that it was all of us.
Okay. And just so, can you perhaps explain the process then, how it gets voted down? Because from what I understand, is it staff that just recommends it and council just supports what staff says?
Council received the whole package of all the applications. They were ranked based on the budget that was available.
They were ranked based on the budget that was available
Council
for the
approved.
village?
Yes. So our CFO sat with the packages we talked
The
about.
new CFO or the old CFO?
The new CFO. They all came forward in the public. All the packages are online. You can see them. With what the budget was, what the budget implication would be if we bumped up the budget by all the asks. Council met somewhere in the middle.
This is not, the buck stops at council. Council made the decision. Staff made a recommendation, council made a decision. We denied 2 requests. This one on the grounds that I've stated. Because we were concerned with the total ask, we weren't aware that it was split. We were concerned that it was supporting what should be a self-supporting operation. In other words, we were concerned what will happen next year and the next year and the next year if there are budget shortfalls. So it's not to say that we didn't want to set a precedent, which there is no precedent. I will say that I don't know that we appreciated the one-off nature of this.
If you appreciated the one-off nature of it.
Of the $2,400 being for the furniture startup.
Because the discussion around the table is, we've never supported them before. Did they just get the budget wrong by?
No, the play school's never, they've never launched a new program. Which, yeah,
You know, I
it
don't
was
know
part of
that
a
that-
before and after school care program.
I don't know that distinction came through. I'll re-emphasize to council that I see the Play School Society as an important service as any of the community groups. I also see it as strategic in terms of the future of the village, attracting the kinds of people that we need to keep Lions Bay viable into the future.
Just as a technical point, we'd have to rescind. If we're going to, we probably should have a discussion on this point, not at this moment of the meeting.
No, yeah.
But we'd have to rescind. I believe that's the
The
case.
resolution that was
Rescind
made
the
and
resolution that we've
make
already
it
done.
with the addition.
Yeah.
Well, I have a point. When you had said earlier it was a unanimous agreement, for me, the decision was based on actually one important factor, and that was when I asked what was the actually, what this grant, municipal grant was put forward, what was the nature of it, and I don't know exactly what my question was, but we were told that this ask didn't meet the qualification as it was covering operating costs. And so if that's really, is that the case?
That was the way Pam understood.
Yeah,
the
so
ask.
when Pam said that, then I said,
It's
oh,
too bad
okay.
that she wasn't here.
That
So
is-
if
that
that's
is the
not
case.
if that is the
For
case,
23.
That
right?
is the case.
That
But
is the
is-
case for the 23, correct?
It's the shortfall in the overall budget of
Okay.
which was submitted for your review.
For the 23. For the 2300.
2395.
95?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you
I
could
guess
say
I
the
would
same
make the
for the
difference.
Arts Society.
For Arts
Yeah.
Society,
That's their
an
operating
events
budget.
committee, it's an
Yeah,
operating
so
budget
then,
for a
therefore, then-
not-for-profit group.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's no distinction.
Arts Society could incorporate as the Lions Bay Arts Council not-for-profit society, as could the events committee. There's
They are,
no-
in fact, they're a not-for-profit society.
So then there is no
yeah,
difference.
yeah,
really.
so
Yeah,
then
there
we
is no
can't, we
difference.
shouldn't say yes to one and not the other based on that sole criteria.
Well, I think one of the challenges I have is that there was dialogue with Hari, and then all of a sudden the village fell off the map, and he didn't continue that dialogue with Jurgen, because he did ask for clarification. Jurgen came back to him, and then there was no more communication. And then he's gone, Pam's in. So did this just fall through the cracks? I mean, that happens, I get it, I understand what it's like when you have a changeover in staff.
Yeah, and I can't comment on that, and it's unfortunate Pam's not here, and I wish the communication had been better, because I think we wouldn't be standing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
so
want to be
let's just,
standing here,
let's
and I
just
don't
hear
want
from-
to
be pitting
I-
ourselves
yeah.
against
No.
other community members and our friends and family who are on those associations either, because let's be honest, that's the case. But that's not the point, that's not what we're here to do either. is
No,
to-
no, I don't think
to be
anybody-
divisive and to undermine their wonderful efforts. I think that it's just more, honestly, even on a gesture level, like the communication is one thing, but, you know, it's just, there's quite a discrepancy there in terms of support, is all I'm saying.
Jim?
I think that I can see watching around the table here that we're not, we're gonna discuss it and
I would
and
love for you to
rediscuss
discuss it. Yeah, and I would ask
and
you
look at
also-
it with the, look at it with the same eyes, but the thing is that, understanding the issue a little bit better maybe, but that's all we can do at this point in time.
And that's all I can ask.
We've
And I
been through a
appreciate that.
horrific budget process, and we felt we were dealt 50
I thought that
cards.
was just me that thought that.
And, and so, but we're listening. So
Thank you,
that's
I
all.
appreciate those
Yeah.
words, like, so much. And if I could just ask, if each and every one of, council member could actually review the application, and the reason and the sort of objective of the organization, and what these funds will do and what they will do for our community. If
You brought
read
new
it
information.
And you feel that you're making an educated decision,
Is there new
then that's all I can ask for.
Well, I certainly didn't see the application.
Well, they were all brought forward as part of the.
They're all
So,
there.
Yeah, but I was not going to read 40 applications, nor did
Here,
anybody.
Why don't we table this till the next meeting?
So I think leave it with
That's all I
us
can ask.
now.
Thank you for your time.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention and arguing so. I won't say
Clearly.
vehemently. That's not the right word.
Passionately.
Passionately,
Yeah,
thank
our
you.
kids are important. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's it for delegations. We will move on to adoption of the minutes. The first set of minutes to be adopted is the minutes of March 3rd, page 13. Helen, under 8C1. What happened to the striking of the community committee?
So we were striked, but then we haven't had a first meeting yet.
Okay.
And we were told that it would be during the first meeting that we write up the
Set the terms of reference?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. One small error on page 16. It's extant, not extent. Under just above 10. And that's all I had there. Anybody else?
Yes, I think for under number 9 resolutions, community grants approval. I recall saying, with regards to the $2,500 for the arts committee container, I think there was a point that we discussed where the container would be used by, or could be used by all, and that's not here.
This resolution was just to approve the expenditure.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. And the action item?
I think we've
Yeah,
dealt
we
with
have-
that tonight.
So when we have, but we
Yeah.
didn't, even last year, we
No.
didn't communicate to the groups until the 5-year plan budget was adopted. So,
Okay, well, as it turns out, that may be a good thing because there may be a change. But we'll hold that discussion later. Okay, what else, Helen?
No, it would be business arising from the minutes, right? Not,
Fine.
yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so a motion to approve. Thanks. Second. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting of council held on March 26th. Yeah, I've got a bit of a problem with this section 4, new business budget recommendation. I mean, what happened was that Mayor Burr advised that discussion of this proposed budget would follow council procedure bylaw rules. Full stop, period. And then some other things. Can I send you?
you can review the audio and rework it
Yeah.
if you'd like.
Yeah, this is And it is what I said, but the point was that we were going to follow council procedure bylaw rules.
We'll listen to the audio and I'll rework it and
Yeah.
send you something. We'll table these for now if you want.
The consensus was to change wiring to intakes item to water contingency programs item at $60,000 and to change the SCADA computer software item from $50,000 to $12,500. And that's all I had there.
So do you want to table them to the next meeting, or do you want?
I'm happy if we can. Well, yeah, actually, no. It's just a wording issue. I just wanted to. It's very unclear what this is if anybody wants to go back and read it. And if seeing as it's a budget, yes, let's actually table it. Anybody want to bring a motion to table? Approval of the second set of minutes. Second. All in favour? And opposed? Okay, so we'll table those minutes. Just to get that last paragraph there copacetic. Business arising. Helen?
Just, let's see, page,
14.
no,
16.
page 16. Correspondence, number 11, action. Have you actioned that?
No,
No?
sorry.
Okay.
At least I'm honest. I'll do it.
And I think that was it for me.
And what about your one? Is it worth joining?
Actually, I don't know yet,
Wait for that.
but I will know on Sunday, April 19th, because there's going to be a National Day of Action for this Blue Dot initiative, and West Van will be hosting one of them, so I'm going to attend and see if it's worth joining and what we need to do. So far, 32 other municipalities have joined.
In BC?
Actually, I don't know. I think it's in Canada. There's a Canada-wide thing. It's not a lot, is it?
No. It's 161 in BC.
Okay, so maybe it's just BC. Because I couldn't find the data on where it's just oh, okay, a lot of let's do it. Oh, it says coast to coast.
Mandy, under 5 for the regular council. Staff will clarify what item 6D, Mayor Bird discussed his draft
Regional
report.
context statement.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? And on the second meeting, I had nothing. So we're going to move on. Good. Unfinished business. I don't believe there's any. Moving on. Reports. CAO, page 21.
Not a lot new on there, lots of ongoing. A number of meetings in the last little while, which most of you are aware because a substantial number of them were budget related. And met with the Ministry of Forests this month, in the last 3 weeks, with some draft examples of trails agreements with volunteers and what they use for. They have a number of volunteers doing maintenance on ministry trails, so they've shared all their information in that respect. Been dealing with QP about getting a temporary position to help with the 55 plus group, so that is posted right now and will be closed next Friday. That is a without prejudice agreement. They would allow it simply based on the fact that it's a grant funded position, but it took a bit of work to convince them. Working on some documents for the Bylaw and Policy Review Committee that meets later this month, Council Procedure Bylaw for them. And helping out with the 55 plus group, getting their facilitators scheduled and in place and making sure that everything's good to go for them. And just the day-to-day ins and outs. Lots of emails, lots of phone calls this month.
Great, thanks. Where do we stand on Metro's red line version of the regional
I have
context
a meeting
statement?
with them tomorrow afternoon to go over it.
Really?
Yes.
Does it look hopeful?
They haven't given me any indicators of what that meeting will look like.
Okay.
What I do know is that the red line version will bring our potential consultant costs for review down substantially to an hourly rate. So Yeah.
What is OHS meeting schedule?
Occupational health and safety.
Thank you.
That's circle to do.
And what the CCR project, the final report submitted to provincial funding source?
So that's the final written report based on what we applied for, what we did, the scopes of work. That's not the final financial report, which staff are working on right now. So that
That's
will
for
come
the village.
forward. Yeah, well, it's for them as well. Them being the grant funders as well. But that will come forward at the next council meeting, April 21st.
Okay. Any more for Mandy? Yeah, go on.
I was just wondering, so what is status with regard to the staff goal planning? Is it done?
No,
We're
it's
done?
still in process. I haven't met with everybody yet, just
Okay.
surely lack of time.
Okay. And then under village survey census, could we change the deadline because we've passed it, so maybe let's
Okay,
move
yeah.
it to 1st of May.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim? You good?
I'm good.
No public works report and no CFO report?
No, Pam's report was part of earlier this afternoon
Okay,
in the
fine.
committee of the whole, and that was
Yeah.
the 5-year plan
Okay.
stuff. And Nikki's only report this month is the leakage stuff.
Okay,
So,
that's coming up soon. Okay, good.
yes.
Yeah, I have a few questions I'll ask you then, Nikki. The other thing I had for the CFO was because we have now tentatively approved the budget asks, is she going ahead with the adds to the Maze software modules?
Yeah, we will be, yes. We haven't yet, but we haven't ordered them yet, but we will go ahead.
What's the timeline there?
I don't know what the implementation piece is with Maze, but I can find out.
Is it Maze that does the physical
Yes,
implementation?
Yeah, they log in from their end to our computers and do all
And they
that.
enter the secret code and
Yeah.
the handshake decoder in. Because, I mean, the job costing thing is, if we had it yesterday, but that would be one less day that we had to do it by hand.
Mhm.
And if it's paid for, that's sooner rather than later. Okay, good. So that was that. Mayor and Council, no specific reports other than ongoing. Committees. Page 23, the Policy and Bylaw Review Committee Terms of Reference. I started out by saying this afternoon that I would like to see committees, whether standing or, what's the other one? Select. To start doing their own housekeeping in terms of minutes and agendas, just to A, streamline things, and B, take some of the load off staff. So I don't know if that needs to come into any sort of terms of reference. I doubt it.
Composition.
Yeah.
I had the same point, but it's in the composition highlighted.
The one question I had on these terms of reference, where do we discuss quorum, if anywhere, or does that come out of the council procedures bylaw? By
Yeah,
reference.
quorum just by definition means a majority of the appointed members. Or-
That's very
yeah,
clearly stated in the charter.
Yeah,
Okay, because this says its recommendations shall be formulated by consensus of those present at its meetings.
but the recommendation is different than a quorum because you have to have a quorum to hold a meeting. So that's different than the recommendation piece. If you didn't have
Recommendations
quorum, you couldn't have your meeting.
recommendations, and once they get to that point, they're making a recommendation comes to council.
Okay, so what is quorum for? It's just standard half plus one.
Yes,
Yeah.
majority of appointed members.
Without quorum, you can't meet.
That's right.
Yes. I tend to wonder why, because no binding votes are taking place, you need a quorum, but maybe it's just to give everybody a chance to have a say, I presume.
It is.
That's-
Well, the difference is standing committee versus the select committee.
Yeah, but it's still good. It's
You
same.
still need a quorum
Still need a
of
quorum.
appointed members
Yeah.
to do business.
So it's half plus one. Okay, then under composition, administration staff to take minutes when requested, I think, no. Members will do
That
it.
was in there, so we can certainly.
Does the infrastructure committee do their own minutes?
Mhm.
And FC does the same, and I mean, I think the IC is probably more complicated, and other than the last go-round, FC is less. It's hard to imagine for any particular committee where the experts couldn't do the minutes.
Precisely. That's the point. It's the experts are the ones that should speak to what the discussion was about and distill it. So I would suggest that composition thing gets changed and say something like administration staff as ad hoc participants. Period.
Does it work for you, CAO?
I would speak to the committee chair.
Well, I'm trying to think there's, you or your people are in it all
This
the
is
time.
pretty much taken from the
I mean,
bylaw.
I get where there's gonna be a
Yeah.
point where maybe you need the resources here too, so there's the other side of it.
I don't think that the committee will have an issue with it. This is the bylaw, this is the second draft of the bylaw, or of the,
Terms of reference.
terms of reference, and as such, the committee hasn't signed off on it yet, so, yeah.
The one other thing I would suggest is more of a format thing is that purpose paragraph right at the top. Couldn't we move that down into the committee role and responsibility? Because purpose, role, and responsibility are all the same thing. It's a little repetitive, those two sections, and then you start with the establishment authority.
I was following a model.
Perhaps we can look at that
Yeah, sure.
because it's you and me on it.
I don't like the flow of it anyway, so
No.
I have no problem
Me
with that.
neither.
It was just we took this and we boilerplated it. We got through the second revision. This is, so now we're on.
Through the chair, I like the one page.
I like the one page as well.
Yeah.
You can actually absorb it. Okay, anything else? No? You good? Okay. Trees, Views and Landscapes Committee, application number 56 on page 25. This is information only.
No, it needs
No.
a resolution.
It does need
to
a
approve.
resolution. Okay, so I'll have a motion to what?
Motion to
Accept?
Accept the recommendation.
Accept the recommendation.
Of the
Second?
Trees and Landscapes Committee.
Discussion? Rick?
I'm just curious, the last sentence here, however, there's one stipulation, is that the work must not begin until at least the 1st of August 2015.
Birds dropping from the nests.
Thank you.
What kind of birds?
Ones that don't fly well.
Not eagles or...
No,
Yeah.
because then we would have a different issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Helen, did you have
No,
some?
that
That was your thing? Okay, so all in favour? Opposed? That carries. Good. Okay. Infrastructure Committee, beach wall remediation 27. You've read it. The recommendation is that council direct staff to undertake the proposed remediation work at Lions Bay Beach Park retaining wall. You see all the technical details you'd ever wanted to know and then some. Can I have a motion to accept the recommendation? Second?
No, I have a question.
No, we've discussed.
Oh, do we accept first and then we discuss?
Motion to...
You have to move in second before you can debate.
Oh, okay.
Now you may debate.
No, I was just wondering how much would this cost and is it in budget?
Free.
It's free?
It's in regular
Oh.
maintenance.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought you were going to ask about counseling Mr. Garland about his photography, giving you recent comments.
No, I like it. Somewhere it said, minimal cost, so I thought, oh, there is some
Where's
cost.
the artistic part of those logs?
Mr. Garland's composition is better, but Mr. Hughes's focus is better. Must be a hardware issue.
Yeah. One's a camera, one's an iPhone.
Okay, so all in favour? Opposed? That carries. So the recommendation is that staff will get weaving on the beach wall. That's good because people are leaning against it already.
So when does it start? Early?
That's up to
When
Public Works.
It'll go
we don't
into
know.
their work plan.
Oh, okay.
D, staff, leak down tests. Nikki, lay it on us, page 31.
Okay. As indicated in the report, this report represents the results of the village's water leak down testing as requested by council at the March 3rd, 2015 council meeting. As you can see here, we outlined the actions that we undertook. We communicated with people, we isolated magnesia, then we started doing some systematic isolation of various things. We mainly attempted to, I'll back up a bit. It was a request from council that we do a water leak drawdown test. It wasn't specified, it was for one specific period of time. And it didn't really insist on us isolating anything, so we added that to our plate, because what we really wanted to do was try to get some meaningful information out of the system as best we could. And the only way we can do that is when we have the opportunity to isolate it. So instead of simply watching Harvey decrease and giving that number, what we tried to do was within that holistic number, try to get a little bit more information from the system. Where did it seem like there was most usage or consumption or leakage, no matter what you call it, water running through the system, so that we could then go back the next day and subsequent days and check those areas first, so that at least we had a plan of attack, because we do have scarce resources, as we all know. So our plan of attack was listed under the actions undertaken. Our findings were that ultimately 12,274.53 US gallons can be attributed to a combination of either legitimate or unauthorized consumption and or leakage on village or private property during this time period. So if we translate that within the 24-hour village consumption rate from March 30th to March 31st, it accounted for roughly 26% of the village's overall water consumption rate, just straight extrapolating numbers. So basically, we took the US gallons per hour and multiplied that to extrapolate what it would be in a 24-hour period as a baseline. So a number of questions have come up with regard to the report. The infrastructure committee also got the report, and there was a number of questions. I did send through a response to those questions, but chances are nobody around this table has had a chance to read that yet.
Nope.
So if you would like, I can itemize quickly what the answers were to some of those key questions.
That'd be great.
Okay. So regardless of whether or not we isolated tanks, the aggregate number is the aggregate number. So if we isolated a tank, we took that same number and juxtaposed it across everything, because we needed to make sure that our drawdown was accurate, regardless of the fact of whether or not we isolated something or not. So there were two questions from the infrastructure committee with regard to, do the numbers include the numbers that were isolated onto, like, were they added back in to the overall consumption rate? The answer to that is yes, they were. Because we isolated the tanks simply to give ourselves more data, and we were really careful not to have the fact that we isolated areas skew the end results. Okay? The other question was, during the entire time frame, was Harvey's, the reservoir tank at Harvey constantly monitored? The answer to that is yes, and we have drawdown in 1 minute increments. I was the one stuck at Harvey.
You have to physically be there.
Yes, because the SCADA doesn't notice anything in real, like, it's not necessarily coming through in real time. And the whole premise of this was what's happening in real time. So at the end of the day, yeah.
What's the resolution of the measurement at Harvey? Can it, I mean, I see you go to hundredths of a gallon. I doubt that it's that accurate. I mean, can you see 5 gallons, 50, 100?
I can see, what I see is drawdown, and then I know so I know tank level.
So that's what
And
you're
then
actually looking at, is
I'm looking
tank
at
level.
the tank level. So
Yeah.
I'm watching what the difference in the tank level is as time passes. And then I know how many gallons are within a set criteria within that, and I just multiply the two numbers
Yeah.
together. It's a pretty simple exercise.
Yeah, it's I presume it's an actual cylinder.
Correct.
So-
We have the numbers to be able to calculate that.
And what's the resolution of the height monitor? Is it a millimeter, an inch, a foot?
It is to 2 decimal places. So overall, from the entire start to the entire finish of when we did the testing, the water level in the tank at Harvey from start to finish was 0.94 of a foot. So almost 1 foot.
And the diameter is what approximately?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
I'm just picturing it, it's probably
I have all the calculations embedded
Probably
in,
50
in a
feet.
spreadsheet.
that's a lot of water, obviously. Okay, yeah, this is...
One foot is approximately 13,333 point some decimal point US gallons.
Okay, well, the IC, I'm sure, will have some more technical issues. But so the bottom line, as things stand today, on the face of this report, is that we're leaking about a quarter of our water. As I said in my note around to council, that's the worst of all possible results. It's not high enough to explain our high leakage, but it's too high to ignore. So what it's left us with is both a leak remediation program that we faced and a massive conservation education program in the next 3 months.
As a point of clarification, and with considerable respect, we can't assume that all water use in that time frame is leakage. We've got, a resident could have simply forgotten about the notification. Some residents may choose to simply ignore it. Emergencies could have come up, which necessitated water use. We definitely had a very conscientious resident email saying, in a bit of a panic, saying, I used water. I used water from here to there because my dog was sick, and I used a hose to clean it up, and I used it for X amount of minutes. So I think that we have a combination of, as with any municipality, you have a combination of very, very caring residents who truly want to do absolutely everything the way they can, and just by the way numbers work, you're going to have the opposite. So there's some kind of balance there.
Sure, that's why you do it on more than one day to minimize
Absolutely.
those.
We could have had residents with water-cooled HVAC systems that could have left them on. Water could have been on a timer. There could be faulty pumps. There could be float valves. There could have been anything enabling water to flow into a pool or a water feature. What we truly, absolutely, categorically know is that during the time frame that we were there was consumption. Yes, percentages of that are going to be leakage, absolutely, on both sides of the equation. But I would caution council from the assumption that it's all leakage. I think that there is some there's a number of parameters that could cause usage, and that usage could be authorized or unauthorized usage.
Well, we have no
another-
unauthorized usage at this stage. That will change as the outdoor water use bylaw comes through. But there's no such thing as unauthorized. You can use your water. There's no restrictions on your water use at the moment.
Right.
Point taken. The point is that this translates to a water consumption of about, in round numbers, 1,000 litres per person per day. The 321,000 US gallons in the day. Some of it is leakage.
Yep, and we have found some leaks. So
So actually,
at the time of the writing of the report, we had found 2.
Out of 35.
Both of those were on the private side. At this point in time, so having Thursday put in, a further 3 have been found. So a further 20 residences were targeted for investigation of leaks. 3 further leaks were discovered. 2 are on private property and letters have been issued. 1 is on the municipal side. It's at 370 Bayview Road. It's on our schedule to fix it tomorrow. We could not fix it today because I did not have a full crew. And I need a full crew at that location to be able to fix it.
Can you quantify how big are these?
Not until we go down there and dig up the pipe. As a general rule, when we can, anytime a leak is on our side, we cut the section of the pipe with the pinhole, and then we make some basic notes on it stating, okay, based on the water pressure here and the size of this, it would equate to X number of US gallons per minute. I have a whole host of those in a box at the yard with ones we've dug up on our side, because it's important information to have. So we're going to be obviously scheduling to fix that as soon as possible. At 8 of those residences, so 8 of the 20, we couldn't find the water service connection valves. If we can't find those, we can't tell which side of the, like, we can't tell anything. So as a result, letters have been sent to those residences saying, under the bylaw, you're actually responsible for making sure that we can find these things. And, you know, here's what the bylaw states, and here's what we need you to do. We had already started a list of those because it's also pretty important that we keep on top of that, especially if you're going to do flushing programs and things like that. So we simply added those to the list that we already knew of. So as a result, today, approximately 50 letters were mail dropped to residents to say, hey, you've either put a structure on these things, you've moved it and not told us, like it doesn't match up with our records, so we can't find it, or your landscaping is beautiful, but we can't find your valve and we need you to help us out. So we're moving forward. It's a series of steps.
So the 35 that you did at the time of the report, plus the 20, that's 55. You had done some before.
Less 8 that we couldn't find the service connection valves.
Okay.
So roughly 48.
How many more are yet to be looked at for the first time in recent memory? Out of the 500 and let's say 50 service connections.
So sorry, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So that's about 50 in round numbers.
Roughly, though, it's 48, including the 8 we couldn't, when you discount the 8 that we
Yeah.
couldn't.
We also know about
So we concentrated.
several more the last year
Absolutely.
or so.
So we concentrated on, based on the drawdown, we concentrated on Bayview because it showed a considerable amount. Like it was higher. We concentrated on Seaview where we found 2 leaks, one of which we couldn't get a hold of the residents, and we actually shut it off because it was large enough that we were concerned that it was really leaking a lot of water, and we still haven't heard back from the residents, so we assume that they're out of town. Or they're not here very often. So that one's shut off. We have one at Brunswick Beach that is an absolute mystery. High consumption at night, we go back the next day, no consumption. We went back today, high consumption, we bang on the door, no one's home, or they're not answering. Same on Thursday. We go down, we check it, because it got flagged again, we check it, high consumption, we go back, and nobody will answer the door. We go back later, nothing. So that one's a bit of a mystery. We've been talking to the neighbors indicate that the residents are not necessarily around a lot, but they show up in the mornings. So we're not sure whether that's they're using water after hours.
They may work night shift.
Or, yeah, we're not sure what that is, but we continue to investigate. So at this point, we've issued a letter saying we think you have a leak. If we turn off the water, we can't hear anything. So it's definitely on your side, but you need to get a hold of us and let us know if you have something strange going on or something different that we may not be aware of. So that's been issued there. And we have another one on the private side of Panorama Place.
Okay, so of taking those into account, of the total, let's say in round numbers, 500 service connections in the village, how many do we have yet to look at for the first time?
It depends on what you mean for the first time. So if you mean based on, as a result of this test, we have however many less the 48. But we continuously do leak detection. If we notice that either one of our intake consumption is spiking, we go and have a look. We go check it out. We also have pre-scheduled leak detection testing as well, and those have taken place as well. I can give you the numbers of how many we've done, but I can't pull them out of my head right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5 years, how...
I would say that since I have been here is when we actually started truly documenting, sending letters, following up on those letters. So I can give you the numbers for the last 8 months. I cannot give them to you right now because I don't know what they are because I can't remember how many letters I've written.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the scope of the issue because it seems like this is pretty fertile ground looking at service connections. So we should probably at some point look at the rest of them. I'm just wondering how big it is and do we need to... We have now a budget, $60,000 that gets allocated and yet to be determined way.
Yes.
Whether we get a contractor out, come July, it's going to be too late. Or it's potentially going to be too late.
The next scheduled leak detection activity that we have with my crews will be after the water main flushing. So that's May.
And then is there going to be another drawdown test? Is there a
Council
plan for it? Do we
directs,
need?
then yes, I
Well, the
can.
water main
Wouldn't it-
flushing is not, the draft of the outdoor water use bylaw doesn't allow flushing in May. We go to level 1 conservation in May 1,
Yeah, that's
right?
Yeah, that's right.
So but
Flushing
that can be
is
changed because I'm going to
doesn't
propose that we switch to
get-
June 1 anyway, so.
Yeah. Flushing tends to not be within those parameters. Flushing generally takes place in spring and fall. I can give you the parameters if you want for the bylaw, but
So, how many times, like, we've done a drawdown and we got a result.
yep,
Was that the entire system at full pressure?
it was the entire system based on Harvey. So the areas that would have had a decrease in pressure would have been Sunset, which we do not know of any leaks there. It was not a place that popped. And some residences on Mountain.
So, and that's because, what, because Mag was offline, or?
Because we isolated Meg, so we only had one water intake to have to watch drawdown.
Okay, but, so we didn't check the whole system?
Yes, we did, because
Everything but the
we supplied,
output line
we
to Meg.
supplied the village, we supplied the Mag side through phase 5.
Okay.
So yes,
So we were at full pressure, that was really my question.
with the exception of Sunset, because Sunset is regularly supplied directly from Mag,
That's right.
not through phase 5.
Okay.
So Sunset had a difference in.
So the reason I ask is I've heard from 2 residents up there
Mhm.
that said that they've had a little water pressure since Mag was offline.
Yes,
And I said, well, that's perfectly reasonable because of the elevation, or because of
yes,
the way they have
because
to
it
get
is
the water
now,
up there.
yes.
So that's why I'm saying,
Mhm.
if the water pressure was down at that point, then we don't have full pressure in those areas.
Correct. So Sunset, we did not have full
So
pressure.
we likely would have different results. So,
If there were leaks, yes.
yeah, okay, so that being the case, are we going to do more drawdown tests to make sure that we've got an accurate number? Because I don't know of any situation in any place I've researched lately where they do a single drawdown test to determine what they've got in the way of leakage.
Correct.
It's gotta be done to be proper, it's gotta be done over certain wandering periods of time, different conditions, and then pulled all back together. Now, I
Yes.
understand there's an urgency here, we're trying to determine what we've got right now,
Yeah.
but I think it's something that needs to go on.
I agree. However, my direction from council at the time was to do the one, hence.
I just want your opinion.
I agree. We would need to do several overtime to see where we're at and to see how those numbers play into each other.
Well, if the skater doesn't log and we do have to sit there,
It's a considerable amount of time and effort, and it's tiring.
yeah, because you've got people moving around, changing valves, open and close. I would suggest that we could potentially consider new ones and not worry about the zone, just get the raw number under the next 3. We have to do it in winter, don't forget. We have to put it into a regime where there's unlikely to be overnight water usage, no irrigation, no swimming pools, no whatever. So we're running out of time. It's already getting to be warm weather. So if we're going to do any more drawdown tests, we need to consider. But this report's going to the IC. We've deferred the IC meeting now from Thursday to next Monday. Out of that meeting will come some substantive stuff. Is there anything you think we should know sooner than that?
I've like I indicated previously, I have sent an email around to try to answer everybody's questions. It does answer. It alludes to your question that you brought up. It answers Greek's questions. It's his questions correlated into yours. It outlines where they correlate. So I would just say read my response, and hopefully that clears up most of the questions that were brought up. There's no argument that we need to do more of these, but we have to start somewhere, and this is where we
I think this is probably, is it a quarter, a half, or 3/4 that we're losing? So the answer is, it's roughly a quarter. Okay, so that's, the variability that we're going to see, 2, 3, 5%, who knows? This is a good enough number. What this tells us now is we have a major conservation program
We do.
to undertake.
Yes.
The leaks can be fixed, yeah, some of them, maybe you're never going to get down to 0.
No, you're not.
So now we know.
But one thing I would stipulate is that, and this is good news, when I researched back to 2005, 2006, the results I got on the water being used in the village, these numbers are significantly lower.
The absolute
Our,
numbers.
our
They
number
are.
of gallons of water used was significantly lower, so something's changed.
Yes, we have, and, you know, we have, since the 2006, I do believe we did have some infrastructure upgrades.
Spent $2.5 million,
They're gonna
yeah,
help.
yeah.
And where we now have a clearly defined process in place that says, okay, do we think there's a leak? Yes or no? We go and investigate it. We determine whose side it's on. We follow it up. We follow it up again, and you know, we move on. And I think that is also helping.
Yeah, let's not get too sanguine there, because don't forget that summer consumption is roughly double winter consumption. So when you double 321 winter consumption number to 650, let's say, that comes up to the old average, 550,000 US gallons a day.
My numbers were based on the lower number, not the higher number.
I don't disagree that
Yeah.
we're better than we were.
Yeah, so,
I don't think we're attempting to be complacent. I think
No.
that it's just, it does appear on face to look as though it's improved, and I think that we have some backup as to why it is improved.
You know, what this tells me is that in the summer we're going to be consuming 600, let's say round number, 600,000 US gallons in a non-conservation regime. That's too much.
Correct.
So we've got a big conservation program ahead. A lot of that's going to be through the communication arm. Full marketing, full understanding, not too many sort of half-baked ideas. We're going to have to do this thing really properly. We need to get down to a summer consumption level of around, I'm hoping, for 400 litres per person per day. That's a third of what we would see in a non-restricted regime. Is it necessary? Don't know, because we have no correlation to how much water we're going to see from our snowpack. But let's be prudent.
Question, pardon me, under actions, you probably got an easy answer for this one, but as I read item D, isolation and determination of the drawdown,
Yep.
were you able to figure whether or not phase 4 and phase 5 on highway tank leak themselves? Like I see you're taking the residents below each of them, and then you isolated them, but I'm just wondering if anything showed up, whether those tanks themselves would leak.
Not conclusively, and we did not isolate the tank itself from, we had limited resources and time was really running against us. So, no, would be the short answer to that. We did not have the ability to isolate the tank and everything below it to be able to do just the drawdown on that.
so in your report, you mentioned that 2 tanks that automatically started a refill process in the middle of your test.
Yeah, so the thing is that we had to isolate the tanks one after the other. We didn't have the resource to be able to shut everything off at the very beginning and draw through. So we shut off the highway tank to begin with, but that means that phase 4 and phase 5 were doing their thing. It also means that Harvey obviously was drawing down, not below that tank, but for all the rest of the village. And yes, phase 4 and phase 5 were at some point in their fill cycle when we cut them off. So that's why it's mentioned, like we did the numbers, we ran them again, we did our best sort of when would this have feasibly have started scenario, which is why we did not include the 2,022 gallons within that, because it's legitimately filling up a tank. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything below that was using the consumption. So the best way that I could put this is the tanks themselves have a set point at which they start to fill. And it's not necessarily based in the minute on that consumption rate below them. It's that consumption rate could have been going down as it normally does per day, leveling off, just sitting there for a while, and then one thing gets it down just to that correct level and it starts to fill. So it's definitely not indicative, like the filling is not indicative of a leak below, it's simply it hit that set point before
Yeah.
we could get to it and isolate it.
The problem is it becomes, it develops an imbalance in the system, and it may put a drag, or it may put a purge on something, we don't know, so that's the real issue,
Right.
so, but,
Okay, well, I think this is an excellent first cut at the issue. I wanted to know how bad is the leak situation. The answer is not so bad.
Not as bad as we thought, right?
We had no idea.
I don't know, wasn't there a number of 40%?
The last leak down test was 44% leak rate, so there's significant improvement since then. Fred?
Well, I don't know if this relates or not, because I don't know the timing this happened, but the fire hydrant at 300 Ocean View looks like it's moved.
Ah, yes, somebody has hit it. It had nothing to do with with that testing. We've gone to it and made sure it isn't leaking as a result of getting hit by whatever it got hit by. And it's not leaking. We'll move that back into place. We don't know. Nobody has come forward and said, hey, I hit your hydrant. There was some work being done in the area by contractors, but it ends up being nobody saw it actually happen. It had nothing to do with it was just timing. One thing that may have had something to do with the leak down, and I've gotten a hold of Miller Capilano, is crews noticed today that one of their sweepers was filling up from one of our hydrants. And A, first I knew about it, and B, we weren't given notification. And I did notice when I was coming here at 1:45 in the morning on the day to do the leak down, there were 3 separate Miller Cap things that I passed street sweeping. So I have
On the highway.
On the highway, but that doesn't mean they don't stop and fill up while we're doing the drawdown. So I've emailed them and said, hey, how's it going? You might want to give us a heads up when you're doing this.
Well,
B, I want to
It's
know if
against
you
our
guys.
water use bylaw.
I wanna
You're
know
not
if
allowed
you
to take
guys-
our water outside the village
Yeah.
limits.
So I've got an email to them floating that question.
I
and
smell a
asking.
free street sweep coming on. They don't get to use our water.
We'll call Tom.
That's against our bylaw. You're not allowed
So-
to use our water outside the village
Outside the
limits,
village, yeah.
except for beer brewing purposes with special permit.
Right.
Good job, Works Manager.
So anyhow,
Yeah,
we,
well, that's-
we're
that's-
following up because I mean these again could be things that will affect our water
Yeah.
use.
Oh, yeah, to fill up one of those babies. But I hear they sweep the streets really nicely.
They probably do.
Maybe a couple of times, maybe.
That's it.
Yeah, they don't get to use our water without asking. Thanks, Nikki.
Okay.
Everybody good? Okay, we're going to move on to emergency services report on page 33. The only question I had was the middle one, structure fire resident. What is the residence?
At a residence, I guess.
It'd be short for residential.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? Moving on, resolutions. Metro Van Air Quality Initiatives in Lions Bay, page 35.
This is more of a formality than anything. There are 2 potential things being offered by Metro that we would probably like to participate in, and we've given them the verbal heads up that we would like to, but just for the formality piece, they would like a formal council recommendation.
Yeah, this is my pet project. So just as I'm sure you know, there's a mobile air monitoring unit supplied by Metro. I've asked them to deploy it here. It may be a bit late already. We need to do it in the wood heating season, but maybe we can use it now to get a baseline in sort of a non-wood heating season and compare it to a baseline later. So that's the first part, and then the second part is. You want to do the first one
Expression of
first?
interest. Well, we can do them together.
Okay, so I'll talk to it a little bit. Again, it comes from Metro. Julie Saxton, who I've dealt with for years, is one of the techies in the air quality division. Would like to use Lions Bay as sort of a clearinghouse, a meeting spot for a baseline testing on house sound air quality. I think that's that's the best thing since sliced bread. So she's looking for space for 3 meetings over the year, display of the program information and brochures, and filing space of the results. I can't see any reason that we wouldn't want that with open arms.
Absolutely.
Did she say why she identified us?
Because somebody keeps making a noise at Metro.
Who would that be? Should we hire the person?
He's working for free.
She did say a little bit towards the end that there's an email thread in there, and she says, you know, since people in Lions Bay have historically expressed interest in the issue of visual air quality, I'm hoping the community and municipality might welcome the opportunity to participate in this pilot project.
Not only that, I'm talking to them about putting a permanent station on the roof. It's a $400,000 unit. It gives us weather, it gives us a baseline. It's all to do with this stretch, this boundary of Metro, which is on the wrong side of the mountain, which doesn't fit the model. We are not actually in the Fraser Valley airshed. We have terrible air quality problems on certain days in the winter, and this helps us quantify it. As far as I'm concerned, it's a great opportunity. So let's do it in 2 things. So the first recommendation is that the Village of Lions Bay Council formally requests Metro Vancouver Regional District to deploy their MAMU to Lions Bay as soon as possible for the purpose of air quality testing. Or can we do it as one? Yeah, okay. And that council further supports the proposed Metro Air Quality pilot project to investigate visual air quality assessment in coastal communities through public participation. Maybe plus requested resource assistance, because she is asking for filing space and meeting space. If that,
Yeah,
if
and I
that
thought
covers
that's
it.
what the support
That's what the support was.
was. I thought that's what the support she was asking for.
Fine.
So
Okay, so can I have a
that's
motion?
how it reads. Sorry.
Second? Further discussion?
Not to play devil's advocate or anything, but I'm kind of wondering where this is going. When they're talking about visual air quality, are they focusing on wood burning devices specifically? And is this sort of the beginning?
No, this is marine. So there's currently a visual air quality device on the works roof, works building roof,
Right.
and you can go and look at it. And essentially, they're looking out Gibson's direction, and they're trying to come up with a correlation between weather conditions, marine traffic. This is going to be good for the future LNG traffic as well. So no, they are not looking at wood. They're already well aware of the challenges in Lions Bay. That's why they're quite interested, is that we have no option but to heat with wood in Lions Bay.
Right.
There may be a Lions Bay initiative to do wood stove change out, new construction, wood burning ban, who knows. There's no alternative, really.
Mm-hmm.
And this part of the building bylaw that we're going to be looking at. So, for example, do we insist that new construction, what little there will be, 5 maybe, new construction in the next 10 years, do they put ductwork in to allow for heat pumps? Do we ban new construction with wood heating? We don't know yet. So there's a lot of research to be done there. Will they insist on that? No, it's not within their purview. They being Metro. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favour of the recommendation? And opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, next, endorse I Love Lions Bay. Wow, you're good. So we discussed this at Council of the Whole Strategy Committee. And so we don't need to discuss it further. The resolution is that the Village of Lions Bay Council endorses the 2015 Isle of Lions Bay photo competition. Was there an extra piece on funding
No, we weren't
with
expecting it
donations to be made tax deductible to the village?
That has nothing to do with
The endorsement?
council. Yeah, nothing. Cost neutral because it's in and out. We'll issue tax receipt.
Oh, we can do that? We don't need to say something? Fantastic. Okay, so can I have a motion? Second? Fred, you good? Jim, second? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Thanks, good. Where does this go? This goes here. Okay, so this was discussed at strategy committee meeting as well this afternoon, so I'll just go straight to it. Resolution is that the Village of Lions Bay Council waives the cost of the special event parking passes to a maximum of $100 for the Erin Moore Challenge Day event scheduled to be held May 3rd, 2015. Can I have a motion, please? and second. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Thanks for that. That's a good community thing. Correspondence, starting on page 4.1. I had very few things. I had some.
I had 3.
Okay, Ron, go.
Sending you to Prince George was top of my list. Which I think, I think that there's benefits to be gained. Unfortunately, it's more of your time away from your family.
Well, one of us has to go to the LGMA.
Yeah.
I think it has to be the mayor. There's a lot of business gets done there. We have some sort of high-level stuff that we need to talk to various ministries about in terms of boundary expansion or not, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I will go. When is that?
June the 17th.
Yeah.
And so just, I guess, staff to put the arrangements in the rooms and flight.
Jonathan, do
I'm just hoping
we have an
that's
action
not
item for you?
Abel's graduation.
Well, then the deputy is
Yeah.
bummer.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
If we're booking flights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll need
I'll
to
look at my calendar.
be on
Okay.
My calendar's open.
Let's do this correspondence in order so that we don't have to keep backing and forthing. So we'll start at the beginning. My only comment in general, man, is can I get these as they come in? So this one was dated March 2nd. It's the first time I've seen it.
They're supposed to be getting emailed to you, so I'll follow up with our staff who receive
Okay,
incoming mail.
many of these I'm seeing for the first time ever. Not all. Some I see for some reason. Okay, so we all understand about the plebiscite. Nothing to be done there. They would like, City of Port Moody would like us to do what? Remind me? Or is this information only?
No, I think
Information.
the threat of it is that they're opposing Hydro to shut down the
Yeah.
Burrard Thermal Generating Station.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with us.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting, not just on the local area, but when they're wanting to cut down on it, when we're having a low water supply coming, so hydro generation could possibly be diminished. They're wanting to cut down a thermal generator that is powered by natural gas.
Yeah.
All at the same time, hydro is going on with a Site C discussion that they're banking on covering the power that this is already doing, but the Site C project hasn't met final approval yet. So I think this thing is all premature, and I agree with Port Moody on this.
Yeah, it's clearly not about what it's about, but there's not much that Lions Bay can do about this.
Well, it looks from page 2, they're seeking endorsement of the resolution being
Oh,
put
they are.
forward to discussion at LMLGA in May, which is coming upon us.
Where's
So
that, maybe?
It's on page 45 of your package, and
Yeah.
it's 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph from the bottom. So there, yeah, second sentence in that paragraph. City of Port Moody seeking endorsement of this resolution for submission to the annual convention, UBCM. So
Okay.
it's council's decision if they want to write in support of it or not. Just leave it alone.
Let me talk to Mike Clay when I see him on Friday or Wednesday, someday soon, and ask him what he wants us to do there. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm hearing that it would seem like a reasonable thing to request, to at least keep it open for a while. Okay, let me ask him exactly what he needs us for there. Okay, LGMA we talked about. Okay, please don't nominate me for anything. I'm not going to do any workshops. Starting a restaurant. I don't believe we're zoned for a restaurant, so we can move that one. The garbage. This is a communications piece that people need to understand that we're now entering the July 1 to December 31 period where there are fines.
Yes.
Do we have any sense from our Translink, what's our garbage hauler? That's Freudian. Do we have anything from Smith Wright on what the compliance has been? Do we know?
Not yet. No. I can follow up with them. But this is a good information piece, probably for our EFOs to let people know we're approaching that penalty phase and what it potentially is and how that affects the village.
But perhaps we wait until we see, maybe we're all compliant, then we don't have to.
Yeah, I agree with Helen. There's no point in even trying to think about this until we're told that we've got a problem, because
But I can certainly ask.
Can you
That's
ask
the
them?
thing, is
Sure.
that we should find out rather than waiting for them to tell us, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But so let's ask them. Do we fill up a truck? I think we do. And then they're going to dump it on the pad, the inspection pad, and they eyeball it. They've got some guy who can tell if it's 25% garbage or visible food.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah, as far as I can see. And then it's got to be 5%. That's the highly trained guy in 2016-17. Okay, so we'll move on. What's this about the UBC and what was all that about? I don't think there was anything that we had to do there.
No, it was information.
Okay, so we're moving on. I'm now on the Site C stuff. We can move on. Jane's Walk.
That's the same weekend as the Aaron Moore event, so I don't, and we don't have a staff person to take that on, so I guess it's a discussion if we want to go out to the community and see if someone wants to spearhead that, but keeping in mind May 3rd is the Aaron Moore event.
Yeah. I don't know how much volunteer-led urban walks we're going to get in Lions Bay. Maybe some non-urban walks, but this is specifically urban for the reasons stated. I think we give a pass on that one. Do we have? Would it be impolite not to respond to anyone? Let me know if you have further questions. Again, this is the first time I've seen it. March 13th it came in. My Sea to Sky. They are asking for a resolution or an endorsement to extend the public feedback period in the wood fibre EA process. But I think we're already past the deadline.
I think they are too, and I think we got this
I think
right around the deadline time too.
Yeah,
so
I've written
I-
here
I
too
go
late,
back
so
to-
there
yeah.
must be a reason for that.
It's 60 days, I think, from the beginning of, end of January, beginning
Something
of
like that,
February.
yeah.
It was really close.
Maybe we can check this with Ruth just to make sure if there's something that she wants us to be doing here. But this is an activist group rather than the official Environmental Assessment Office thing that we are participating in. So, okay.
I thought they had an extension. And by this point in time, I thought somebody
They
said
went
they
from
had.
30 to 60, I believe,
Yeah.
is what happened. But it
Well, I
was
know
like,
Ruth got a sort of her own because they gave it to her on a Friday and wanted comments on the Friday, so she had to work the whole weekend to put her
Yeah,
comments
that's right.
in. Would you mind checking with Ruth
yeah, I got
Thanks.
that down here.
just to check that we're not missing the trick there? Do we want it to do national? I think it's an endorsement of the National Missing Children's Month and Day. And you see there on page 94, it's there. There's the proposed resolution text. Thoughts? Is this a mainstream group?
Sure.
We've had postings in the post office area there for the last 2 years of missing.
Yeah, but is it-
84. They've been around since 84. It's in the
Yeah.
first statement of the resolution.
I think the writer's last name is the same as a high-profile missing child
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
also.
She's the mother.
Okay, so it's legit. I'm hearing. So do you want to do this? Is it valuable for our community?
I would think it'd be valuable for most communities to have children.
Helen,
What
do you want to
would-
look at it?
Yes, yeah, to see what we need to do
Yeah.
besides the resolution.
Okay, so the action item there, Sean, is that Helen will look into the.
It's just a proclamation.
That's all we need to do.
Page 92.
We're not giving away our good name, is what I'm asking.
April 17th says the drop
Yeah.
dead on.
No, it says not to make the proclamation before that. Councils who wish to email proclamation are requested to do so only after April 17th. So if you want, we can
So when's the deadline?
bring this forward next week in a formal resolution format, or next meeting, 21st.
This time?
Yeah, because they don't want it before the 17th anyway, it looks like.
Okay, can you do some, just
Yep,
checking?
Digging?
Councillor Watterson's in, I'm in.
Pardon?
You're in,
Two.
I'm in.
Okay, we'll be in together.
Okay, so the breaking the silence about alcohol and substance abuse, I think we can pass over that one. I read it, interesting. I read John Weston's stuff about the treaty negotiations. He must be a Republican. So do we want to go ahead with Derek Corrigan's request that mayors stand together against the Kinder Morgan pipeline proposal? So far he's got the support of Vancouver, Burnaby, New West, North Van, Victoria, Squamish and Cowan. I presume he's sending this to Metro.
Looks like they've sent it to everybody.
Yeah, those are all Metro addresses. So he's looking for, I'm reluctant to put my name to these things because I don't know enough about it and I don't have time to find out. Therefore, I prefer to remain agnostic.
I kind of think that's what past council have done too on issues like this where, thousands and thousands of pages of
Yeah,
reference.
it would be irresponsible for me to take a position either way
Yes.
until I can find somebody who's able to tell me the exact truth. Okay, so we're gonna pass on that one.
Well, the issue on that particular one, though, is the same issue we're facing in Howe Sound, the transport of these huge volumes of product coming out of Vancouver Harbor, as opposed to coming out of Howe Sound. What's the difference? I mean, obviously the difference is we got much bigger vessels coming out of Howe Sound in our case, but the thing is, these still are natural gas carriers we're talking about here. It's the same stuff. And it's coming from the same pipeline.
My understanding is this is a twinning of the pipeline that comes over the hill
Yeah.
down
Yeah,
into Squamish.
but it's,
This one's already in place and they're twinning it.
Wasn't this the oil one?
No, I think this is a natural gas one.
this is natural gas.
It is. Oh,
Yeah, that other one has got a different
So they're
name.
doubling capacity.
The oil one is, that's been vetoed by Obama anyway, so temporarily. I'm prepared to do a little bit of research. I don't want to miss an opportunity to make a stand. Either way, there's lots of NIMBY in the beautiful corners of the world. But
Will you be meeting like the mayor of Bowen and
I see them all the time, yeah. I sit next to Mike Smith at Metro.
Well, it is oil.
I noticed that he hasn't put his name down.
It is oil, it's not gas.
Oh, is this the oil one?
This is the oil one.
Okay,
I
see,
thought it was
it
gas.
shows how little we know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna pass on that one for now. I will do some work
You're
on that one.
I stand corrected.
Okay, so we don't need any information from Geoscience BC. I'm disinclined to support anybody who doesn't spell my name correctly.
I
circled
wanted to see that too.
But I'm all for the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. This is a legitimate organization, it's part of UNESCO. They're asking for,
The date actually though is March 21st and we got this on March 27th, despite being
Okay, so-
dated March 9th.
not only can they not spell, so they've lost their chance. Fred, you had something to say about the Fire Rescue International Training Association.
Yeah, it's pretty well outlined in the piece that was supplied to us. I think it's rather remarkable that we had two members from our local fire department that went overseas or abroad to train people in firefighting and whatnot. And the skill level of some of our members here is so high that they're recognized in various parts of the world. I think it's excellent that first that the training is up to scratch and beyond just being up to scratch, but we actually have people who are generous enough with their skills and abilities to want to share it with others. This isn't something that they're going to make a lot of money at, so it's not a dollar motivated thing, but and true, it is a benefit for these members when they go. It looks nice on their resume, but I think the professional pride that they demonstrate and the skill set that they're coming forward with is really worth a commendation towards them and to the department as a whole, how well it's running. I'd be willing to put in a piece in an e-post recognizing these folks on Friday if everybody's in agreement.
That's great.
Great idea.
I noticed most of the fire departments represented are BC. Is that?
Well, the organization is based in Port Moody, so I
Okay,
think
so that's where they're recruited from. Okay, thanks. So action items, Fred will write a piece. We'll have written a piece by the time we get around to those minutes. Okay, the tourism piece, fine. Yeah, so this one was, this letter from Jim Cave, I never received it. I happened to see it on the notice board in the post office. I have written a response. I need to get one more piece of information from Pam on whether we're actually covering our water costs at the moment. So I will respond to this, but again, I don't know what,
I've
it
noted.
arrived on March 11th,
I've noted that to follow up on.
a month later. I still haven't officially seen it. Same again, March 2nd. What do we want to do about this? These are valid concerns.
Nikki has already ordered no parking signs for this area. She's waiting to get them. This was brought up a few weeks ago.
Right.
I think this also goes to Mr. Resortigan's issue about enforcement.
Yeah, that's a bigger topic that we need to
Yeah.
talk through. It's a quality of life issue. People have an expectation of.
Mrs. Dyer's, this is another well articulated and to the point, plus very obvious pictures. It's, to me, I genuinely think that when we do our bylaw piece, this is going to be bylaw 101.
Fine.
A lot of issues tie into the bylaw piece, and especially with the enforcement of the bylaws, how we deal with it. There's a number of issues that are coming forward right now that would be solved by an effective bylaw officer.
Okay, how does council respond? Does you respond? Do I respond?
To the resident?
Yeah.
I'll either Nikki or I will.
Thanks. Got that action item? Thank you.
Actually, when we do talk about the bylaw officer, can this letter come forward at that time?
Good thinking.
Probably got a flat tire.
Does this look like the tires off the ground to you?
I know, it looks like it's loading.
He's
Okay.
so deep into the ditch that his rear wheel is
We've
off.
got a deadline. Let's. We've got a copy of Brenda's speech. That was. If I don't get another opportunity, well done, Mandy. That
Oh,
was.
thank you.
The opening of the hall was fantastic.
Pleasure.
Oh, speaking of which, have you had a chance to write the thank you letter to the?
No, thank you for reminding. I started this afternoon and it's still sitting. Okay, so I think that's it for correspondence. It is. So Mandy, run us through this one here, 12A, repeal of secondary suites policy.
So when the new secondary suites bylaw was adopted late last year, this policy should have been rescinded with it and wasn't. This policy is no longer valid because it was part of specifically the old secondary suites policy, which of course is no more. So it's just an administrative piece. It's no longer valid anyway, but we should formally rescind it because we repealed the old bylaw.
The table at the end, the policy summary chart.
Yeah.
That's all academic now.
Yeah, none of
That
it
was part of the
matters.
original policy.
Yeah, you can see by the headers at the top, before and after September 7th and all that. None of that
Yeah.
applies anymore.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it's
And
just.
does that follow onto these pieces here? Does
Yeah,
that-
so these are just provided for background.
Okay, that's fine.
This new bylaw 475 that we adopted last year repealed 423,
So
which
that's
is
all
the
just
one that
background.
was associated to the policy.
Fine.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
a housekeeping thing.
So I'll quickly read the recommendation.
I put forward the motion to repeal.
Second. All in favour, opposed and carried. So that's that. The next one is page 153. Now, this is still marked up.
Yes. Those are the changes from the existing policy. So you can see what they were.
The only question I had for you on this one was, under policy application, this policy applies to all employees, volunteers, contractors, and elected officials. I'm fine with all of those except volunteers. I don't know how you can,
There's a piece
There's
speaking
no contractual-
in our volunteer policy. There is a piece speaking to village bylaws and policies and adhering to those.
okay,
There's
then,
There's probably something, pardon me, there's something in their application form too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Code
So
of
you
conduct
double
and all
look.
that. Village policies and procedures and that good stuff.
my concern is there's no contract between the village and a volunteer.
We do have them fill out forms and sign the code of conduct. Yeah, actually, we have a number of them. 2 of our committees have submitted all their forms. Actually.
These are there two kinds of volunteers, official and unofficial, or, I mean, what makes a volunteer?
There's different levels. So our committee members are administrative volunteers. They have different coverage expectations in terms of insurance and all that good stuff. Then the volunteers who are outside volunteers are a different tier. It's all in our policy and it's all labeled out that way in our volunteer
And
policy.
that's in effect, that policy.
Yeah, it was adopted last year.
So when we run the village cleanup in the end of May, we have 200 people out with wheelbarrows and chainsaws.
We're gonna have to look at the liability piece
Are they
on
going to have
that.
to sign a piece of paper?
Depends if it's a village-sponsored event.
It is.
Well, you could
Okay.
probably run
So
it
there
as
will be there will be a waiver.
as you go past the checkpoint, you could do a master list.
Yeah, there will be a waiver.
Okay, it's a bigger topic. It's a surefire way to chase people off is to put a contract in front of them.
And if you don't, it just means if anybody were to get hurt, they wouldn't be covered.
Well, that's an implied waiver, I suppose. So okay, okay. So you're asking us to approve this. That was the only thing I. Oh no, sorry, I didn't finish. So you deleted. Oh, this is the text that got deleted.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I didn't like that text.
I have a question or a request. And that is that industry currently in the last couple of years is moving more towards what they call a respectful workplace and not the title,
Okay.
yeah, the harassment stuff. So the thing is that it seems to transit a lot easier in a workplace if it's known as respectful workplace policy. It gets a message out there immediately.
Easy
There's no
change.
confusion about it.
Yeah,
But that's just a thought.
I like it.
I do
I
too.
like it.
Yeah, it's always I always emphasize the positive, not the negative.
We put a lot of these things in place with our clients, and that's the most popular form right now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Excellent suggestion.
I happen to have read this about a week ago, so that's why I'm. It's fine. So do you want to adopt, or do you want to do that and send it around one more time?
I mean, if that's the only change, it's just the title. So,
Okay, so the recommendation is council adopts policy POL 1501, respectful workplace,
respectful workplace policy. Yeah.
as presented and amended, and that all previous versions be rescinded. Can I have a motion? Second. All in favour? And opposed? None? Carried? Good.
There was one of the appendices I didn't include for everybody just because it was so thick, but if anybody wants to see it, it's here.
Okay, moving on to public questions and comments. Sir. Esteemed sir.
Thank you. Listen, I've heard, I wasn't meaning to speak at all, but I've heard the issue of bylaw enforcement. I heard reference made to parking. I heard earlier that someone could simply phone the tow truck company themselves if they thought somebody was parked in a manner that shouldn't be. I don't know if it was time related or perhaps they don't have a Lions Bay sticker. I'm not sure what the specific of that were. But what my question is that I had brought forward to the village last summer, a concern that I have because I happen to live in a highly frequently area where a lot of people park. A lot of them are village residents, some of them are outside the village, but I don't have any objection to that. They're entitled to park just the same as I am. They're members of the community as I am. What I do have a problem with is that on occasion, I have people come and visit me. I have about room for about 5 cars in my driveway, 2 of which are mine perhaps, unless I take them out and park them on the street, in which case that leaves me with 3 if I don't do that. The problem that I have is all of a sudden we have 6 cars show up, the village office isn't available, there's no ability to get a parking pass, even if you wanted to. If you get 5 and 6 cars shows up, you're 1 short. I had this discussion with the bylaw enforcement officer. I told him, look, I have a real problem with this. I'll go up and, you know, if it's the $10 that's the issue, I'll go up and pay the $10, which I did, to the village hall, and I made that point at the time, but I've never heard anything come of it since. My proposal was very simple, that certain people, and not just me, but anyone who finds themselves in that unique position, should be able to simply buy a block of tickets, which are to be put on the car as per the bylaw. They could be numbered, they could be signed off by the individual, in my case, myself, so it has to carry my signature. You can number them if you wish, so you know I can't be selling to people that are wanting to use the marina to park. But it's a problem for me. And it's a problem I think probably other people are faced with. I don't see it being a problem for the village at all, because the fact is I could go up and buy 50 tickets every day if I chose to. There's no, I'm not prohibited to do that. But it's a terrible inconvenience for me when all of a sudden I need a ticket, I don't have a ticket, and I cannot get a ticket, and then I have to go up and have a discussion with a BISOP officer, assuming I see him, to whether he should ticket me or not, and I would expect that his mandate would be to in fact ticket me, period, and then I would have to come up and fight it out with somebody in the office, one of those 2/3 of the people who dispute the tickets, to say that, you know, this really wasn't fair. So I don't know if that ever went anywhere. I don't know if you people, this may be the first you've heard of it, I really don't know. But I would like some consideration given to that proposal that I just made, so that it works for people such as myself. Just a suggestion. Again, you know, just to carry on, it's possible this summer we may have a wedding at our house. I have absolutely no idea how many cars that's going to be. You know, I could come down, I suppose, and buy 100 tickets and hire somebody to go and hand them up. I really don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think there needs to be some consideration given to people who find themselves in that predicament. And I would think all my neighbors would be similarly subject to that same problem.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't want them ticketed.
Yeah, so you missed the discussion we had on this very topic this afternoon, and so yeah, it's on the radar. The ticket, the $1 ticket, that allows somebody to park in a resident space.
On a particular day, they're purchased in advance, and Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we actually print out the address and the person who purchased the ticket and the date that it's good for, correct?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so that's different to having a book of tickets.
Yeah, because if it so happens that it's Sunday afternoon, and I end up with 6 cars in front of my house, I have no way
Yeah.
of obtaining, I mean, I guess I could phone one of the members of council and say, could you, go up to the office and open up and write me out some, just be facetious.
We don't can't get in here.
We're not allowed
So
in
I'm
there.
trying to
Yeah.
propose
Nice try.
something that,
we do it on the web.
and I realize that there's a necessity for there to be a
Pay and print.
safeguard so that
Pay and
they are
print.
not abused. I understand that
It's
totally,
too-
and I believe there are ways that
Yeah,
can be handled.
Let's do it through the web.
They probably do online.
Fishing permits?
Pay
Do
and
you
print.
online, just like
Pay
you
and
do,
print.
did your utility taxes.
I'm
You
happy
could
to
do it
source
online.
that.
That's true. We could do an online app that would be pretty simple. The other one is we could put parking meters in certain places. I don't think that's the Lions Bay way.
Well, my point is I pre-purchase those. And in my particular circumstance, I'd be happy to come up and buy 25 of them, for example, or whatever I deem appropriate. I'm not even asking that they should be able to be refunded at the end of the season. If I don't use them, that's my problem. I'm just trying to avoid a problem for my guests and for me and for the village at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah, that approach is subject to abuse. Not
Not if my signature is on it, not if they're numbered, not if my address is on it. I mean,
This is
I
the
think if
date
I
that would
abuse
be-
that privilege, then I assume the privilege would cease, for me at least. Plus, the ticket would be issued. I mean, the only possible abuse I can see of that being is that if I want to have I mean, there's so many things that could be abused if people choose to abuse them. I think there are ways to mitigate that abuse potential.
But this is your department.
Yeah, I'm listening and I'm thinking about this process here. And we used to merely notify the village office and then write a slip and put it on the window of the car saying, this person is visiting this address. And the village office usually knows about it and they know they expect there to be 50 cars. And then it changed from there to a ticketed, some sort of a process. We put something from the village in the car. So there's all sorts of ways. I like the online solution, but yeah, it's a problem we all would have. We all have at one time or another, and I think it's a good.
If I may just comment, the online, in order to use an online one, I'm assuming that you're going to have to put the license plate number in, the make and model of the car, the color, because somehow or other your enforcement officer is going to have to know that particular vehicle is one he's not going to ticket.
Well, no, we don't do that for the current tickets. There's no defining license plate or anything.
but
But I
if you have a
think
current
if you printed it out, if you did an online thing, for instance, you printed it out, it would have the date on it that
It'd
you
be
were
the
using
date.
it for, and it
So-
would be void after that date.
Just, I'm not a propeller head on this one, but I mean, if we've already got your stuff for the utilities and stuff like that, so we know your address, we know who you are, just add parking as a new thing you put in your visa.
Well, I don't have a problem as long as it's possible that I can
And-
do that, and in a timely manner.
We need to think it through. I mean, I have to understand, what's the logic, what is the benefit of charging $1 for somebody to take up a precious residential parking space? Should it be $15? Well, no, because that means that people's guests are inconvenienced. So it's a bigger issue. I mean, $1 is a pretty good price to park in any spot. But the problem is, it's keeping a resident away from that spot. He's no longer, because somebody's paid $1 to park there. That's a problem for the resident. I keep interrupting.
So, no, that's okay, because the issue boils down to certain people live in certain locations. If you're registered, if you're on the street and there's a block of parking spots, I would expect the bylaw officer looks at our house and sees a house full of people and realizes we've got a bunch of people over, that there wouldn't be any reason for anybody to issue a ticket. But but yours is a little bit different because you're down.
Well, just to back up a step, I mean, I'm taking longer than my time here, but last year, for example, the marina, I don't know if you're all aware of this or not, the marina were selling parking passes, but they weren't bothering, I assume, they weren't bothering to tell people that they were invalid when they were used outside of specific areas. So I did a little walk one day, I can't remember the exact number, but I think there were like 35 vehicles parked along there, and a dozen of them had, you're talking about precious spaces for residents, a dozen of them had marina parking passes on them.
Yeah, that's been tightened up on. So
Well, no, I'm sure, because I know Ken's quite aware of that now, and I think he makes it very clear to people that they're going to be subject. So all I'm saying is, you're right, Jim, we live in an area which we're impacted. I'm not asking for some special consideration that only my guests can park there. All I'm saying is I don't want them penalized. I want a way to be able to put that sticker in the window so that the dollar is not the concern. $15 would not be reasonable.
okay, we've got it. Let's move on. Thanks, Doug. More? This is it. This is the chance. 15 minutes of fame.
Okay, going.
Okay. So that was it. Thank you very much. We're now going to move into a closed session. So anybody who's not supposed to be here should start making their way away from here. The resolution is to close the April 7th regular council meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of the Community Charter 91A. A part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following: C, labour relations, other employee relations, and J, information is prohibited, or information, if represented in the document, would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the FOIPA Act, Section 22(3)(f). Motion. Second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried.
So we'll report out that council approved an encroachment request from a resident.
Fine, thank you. Motion to adjourn. All in favour? Opposed? You opposed?
No. I was just slow.
That carries.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Well done.
Thank you, everybody.